I'm going to read a story called The Relatives Came. This is a favorite story of mine. It puts all sorts of great pictures in my head, and I think about family and how much I love family, even though it can be crowded and crazy when we get together. So here we go. It was in the summer of the year when the relatives came. They came up from Virginia. They left when their grapes were nearly purple enough to pick, but not quite. I love how in this picture a person is packing and they have just so much luggage to put in this one vehicle. Checking to make sure the engine's going to make it, that it's okay, that it's got everything. Let's see. They had an old station wagon that smelled like a real car. And in it, they put an ice chest or a cooler full of soda pop and some boxes of crackers and some bologna sandwiches. And up they came from Virginia. They left at 4 in the morning when it was still dark, before even the birds were awake. I can hear some birds chirping right now. I like how colorful their car is and how they make it look like it's moving, so I feel like I'm a part of the trip. They drove all day long and into the night, and while they traveled along, they looked at the strange houses and different mountains, and they thought about their almost purple grapes back home. And they thought about Virginia, but they thought about us too, waiting for them. They were doing a lot of thinking. And you're traveling along, and it's a great time to do some thinking. So they drank up all their pop and ate up all their crackers and traveled up all those miles until finally they pulled into our yard. Oh my goodness, don't they all look excited? Look at them pointing, jumping off the swing to go see their relatives. I don't think they get to see each other very often. Oh, I like this page. Then it was hugging time. Talk about hugging. Those relatives just passed us all around their car, pulling us against the wrinkled Virginia clothes, crying sometimes. They hugged us for hours. That's a lot of love. That's a lot of love. Makes me smile just thinking of it. Here's the next picture. What do you see? We're looking in windows. We're seeing what's happening. Then it was into the house and so much laughing and shining faces and hugging in the doorways. You'd have to go through at least 4 different hugs to get from the kitchen to the front room. Those relatives. Oh, those relatives. It's crazy when relatives come, and sometimes it's at the holidays and it's so busy, and sometimes there's not much room to walk. Or maybe you haven't experienced that before. But try to place yourself in this story and see what it would feel like. Look right here, it looks like they're eating. And finally, after a big supper, 2 or 3 times around, until we all got a turn at the table, there was quiet talk, and we were in 2s and 3s throughout the house. So not quite as crazy. Things are settling down. Everyone has had enough to eat. They've done all their hugging. And now they can just take a deep breath and go, it's good to be here. That's what I like about this book. It reminds me of all the feelings I have when family comes. So exciting, so crazy when everyone gets together. Sometimes it's like that at school too. You have crazy big classes getting together, and then sometimes it's quiet. The relatives weren't particular about beds, which was good, since there weren't any extras. So a few squeezed in with us, and the rest slept on the floor, some with their arms thrown over the closest person, or some with an arm across one person and a leg across another. It was different, going to sleep with all that new breathing in the house. I wouldn't have thought about that until I read this book. All those extra people and pets, all the extra sounds, the breathing. I love this. The relatives stayed for weeks and weeks. They helped us tend the garden, and they fixed any broken things they could find. Well, isn't that awesome? I know when my kids come up here to the cabin, the kids and the grandkids, they're so helpful. They help us fix broken things. They tend to the yard and the gardens. We're very grateful. Has this ever happened? They ate up all our strawberries and melons, then promised we could eat up all their grapes and peaches when we came to Virginia. Oh, they're playing music. Look at that. Different instruments. There's a banjo, a violin, a guitar, a cello. Can you see right here? They're fixing the gate. There's the watermelon rinds. Have you ever spit watermelon seeds? I have. It's fun. But none of us thought about Virginia much. We were so busy hugging and eating and breathing together. Look at this. We do this. We try to take pictures. We end up taking so many pictures. Look at the laughing and the silliness. Oh no, the dog is getting into trouble there. Look at the smiling. Just look at their faces, the love they have for one another. That's important. Finally, after a long time, the relatives loaded up their ice chest and headed back to Virginia at 4 in the morning. We stood there in our pajamas and waved them off in the dark. We watched the relatives disappear down the road. Then we crawled back into our beds that felt too big and too quiet. We fell asleep. And the relatives drove on all day long and into the night. And while they traveled along, they looked at the strange houses and different mountains. And they thought about their dark purple grapes waiting at home in Virginia. When they left, they were almost purple, but now they're dark purple. But they thought about us too, missing them, and they missed us. I know that's exactly how I feel when family's getting ready to leave. Sometimes they haven't even left yet, and I feel that sadness. I'm already missing them. Looking forward to seeing them again. And when they were finally home in Virginia, they crawled into their silent, soft beds and dreamed about the next summer. And there's a picture of the grapes. We have grapes here. They're green. They're not even close to being purple yet, but they will be in the fall. Thanks for listening to the story.